Guys, gun shed here, and welcome. So today is the 600-mile review of my Honda CBR650. Unfortunately, it's a little bit mucky. It's at the dealer getting serviced, and I think they left it outside, and it's been rained on and dusted on, and so endure of a good clean. But yeah, I haven't really done a huge amount to it. I've had ASV levers fitted, tank lock bag, tank pad, knee pads, RNG crash sliders, Acropovic, and bobbins. I only had the Acropovic fitted about at the first service, and I've only done about 40 miles since then. It's nice. It sounds really nice. Get it started up, get on our way, and I'll tell you a little bit about my experience. So it does flash you through the speedy. So first things first, the seat height is quite low. I'm 5'6". I can't flat foot it completely. I'm not far off being able to. It's not a stretch for me at all. It's quite nice. Seats, a bit on the solid side. Mirrors aren't great. And then on the clocks, we have mileometer at the bottom. Clock, fuel, trip A, trip B, miles per gallon, average of 56.4. 11 gallons of fuel. Total mileage, so that's all good. And then we just have a big clear speedo and a rev gauge on the left. Switch gear's nice, feels nice and promising. The only thing is, with Honda, the indicator and horn the wrong way around. So the first time I sort of started riding this, I kept hitting the horn by accident. But yeah, really pleased with it so far. So I'll pop the weight on the screen. I don't actually know that. Standard these at, I think, 87 horsepower. Though with the Acropovic on, mine's putting out a little bit more than that. But it's nice. There's no rider modes. It's got ABS because it's Euro 4 compliant. It hasn't got any rider modes or traction control. And to be honest, most of the 600 miles I've done is in the wet. I honestly don't think I've needed it. Around town, it's lovely and manoeuvrable. I had to get used to the sports bike position. Now, you will realise this review is coming from someone that spent the last few thousand miles riding a V-Strom. So just take it with a pinch of salt in terms of, I would say, it's quite leant over. Not uncomfortably so on long distance. It doesn't put any pressure on your wrist, but it's just clip-ons are above the top yoke. So it's not uncomfortable on long distance, and it's not as leant over as something like a big R1 or... Basically, the last bit of the video you saw was the beginning of my test ride of my riding review. Anyway, I got a bit word confuddled and things like that, so I decided instead I would record one today. But it's useful going through sort of all the instruments and stuff like that, so that's why you saw that bit. So initially when I wanted to do the review was at the 600 mile service, and it was on 600 miles. However, I've now done 756 miles. So a fair few more. Not that that's a bad thing, you know. I think it's probably a good thing. You guys get a bit more of a thorough review. And I get to enjoy my bike more, so all is good. But yeah, absolutely loving it so far. First thing I would say is it's usable power. I mean, I've only taken it up to 9,000 because it's on the first 1,000 miles. But it is really usable. It's not, like a 1000cc bike where you're breaking the speed limit in second gear. Although you can break the speed limit in second gear on this. It's just lovely and smooth, and it suffers from schizophrenia a little bit in terms of, to keep it going you have to keep it on the power, which is about, the power band's about 6,000, 5.5, 6ish, and once you get over that it's a bit like getting a boot up the backside. It handles completely differently. It just wants to go once it's above that, but riding it below that, it's lovely and sedate. It's really, really nice. Now, I would say it's a comfortable bike, and it is. The seats touch uncomfortable. Well, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, touch hard. so after about 150 miles you start to feel it. But I think part of that's down to the suspension being set up for someone much heavier than me, and it is fully adjustable, so I will get the suspension set up to my weight. But you know, along here, there's not... The big thing for me when testing this bike was the aerodynamics of it and the wind. If you watch my V-Strom videos, you'll realise I sold my V-Strom because of the buffeting off the top screen. You might be going, this is completely illogical. Well, actually no. Most of the turbulent air hits my chest, so you don't really feel it, to be honest. But your head, although it's in the air, it's in clean air, so your helmet is just nice and smooth. It just feels like it's been pulled back a little bit, but not in a bad way. And that's the difference between different bikes, is the taller you go, screen wise, you either have to go so tall that you're sheltered behind it, or you go so low that your head's in clean air and out of the turbulence, which is the option I took, and it's what I did with my Kawasaki. I lowered the screen right down, and it was fine. But on these slow sections, this bike handles amazingly. Feels really lightweight. I forget what the weight is, I'll put it on the screen. But it just handles really, really nicely, and it's really nice filtering as well. It's nice and narrow. I mean, the mirrors go out wider than the handlebars, so they're a good stead of, you know, what you can fit through, and that's the widest part on the bike. My legs are slightly up bent. I wouldn't say they're uncomfortable at all. It doesn't hurt my knees. It's the foot pegs in relation to the seat are further apart than my AR6, because my AR6 after about 100 miles my left knee started aching, whereas on this I don't get that. So the foot pegs are definitely further down, leading to a much more comfortable riding position. I would say, you know, it's more lent over than an adventure bike, but it's not uncomfortably so. If you tense your arms up things, you might get sore wrists, but if you just relax as you do on a bike, you don't get sore wrists at all. It's nice and comfy. Gearbox is nice. I've heard rumours of false neutrals and things in these boxes, and touch wood, I've yet to experience one. The brakes seem perfectly good. It's got weird brakes in the fact that they're mounted to the outside of the rim, and I'll insert a picture and you'll see what I mean. The brake discs are different, they're not off the thing, and apparently it's better for braking, but they're slightly more expensive than normal brakes, and they can warp under extreme pressure a bit more easily. So you can see as I go along here, I mean, I'm getting bumped around a little bit, but again, that's just the suspension being slightly too hard for my weight. And I actually got weighed today. I'm 8 stone exactly, so you know, I'm quite light, and I'm 5'6". I can touch the ground on this. I think once I can't flat foot it. I think once the suspension bed's in, I'll be able to. Now, I did go and buy an Akrapovic. That was through no fault of the standard exhaust. I just like the sound of a slightly louder exhaust. In the corners, it feels nice and nimble, but it feels planted. And that's the main thing. It's very confidence inspiring. And I know quite a few of the reviews have said that the Dunlop tyres are no good, but I don't see a problem with them. I had them on my Kawasaki and they were fine. The ones on my Kawasaki weren't very good in the wet. These seem to be a lot better. I think they're slightly different. But you know, you can feel the road underneath you. If they last as long as my Kawasaki ones did, I got about 7,000 miles out of those. Yeah, it's usable power. It's not crazy. You want something you can enjoy without feeling like you're doing crazy speeds. I mean, the Z900 was great. It was a fantastic bike, but it wasn't usable power. This has got 87 as standard. I think I'm a touch over 90 with the exhaust, apparently. We'll see. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. The one thing, well, there are two little things. One is, it's quite a vibey bike. You know, I'm used to riding V-twins. This is my first inline 4. And I always thought the V-twins were meant to be vibrating and the inline 4s were meant to be smooth, but it is quite vibey. I don't think it's an issue. It's not uncomfortable, it's just there, and I think, you know, you'll acclimatise to it once you get used to it and stuff like that. But just bimbling along, 60, 70 miles an hour, there's no wind, no significant wind rather, no turbulence, zero turbulence at any speed that I've ridden at. I mean, the wind blast just gets stronger, that's about it. But it's not, as I say, it's not uncomfortable wind. The gear changes are nice and smooth. So yeah, the problem is vibrations. The other problem that I'm having is the mirrors are showing an awful lot of my elbow. So I think some mirror extenders would be quite useful. But no, I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with this. I can see myself doing many happy miles on it. Yes, I've lost the practicality of the V-Strom, but do you know what? It doesn't bother me. The one thing I do miss on this is the range computer. But I'm not actually doing that badly. So over, well, I'm doing 60 miles per gallon now. I'm averaging 56 miles per gallon. So yeah, that's not. I don't ride a bike just to get good fuel economy. I ride it for fun. But yeah, I wouldn't say that's too bad. If it was sort of 30 miles per gallon, then I might think it was a bit thirsty, but yeah, stop and get some fuel. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching, and take care.